Hey, Jeff Howard here at Kiteboarding.com, and we've made the videos on the single strut to no strut and those comparisons, and we had some people ask us, Jeff, do a video on what would you do or choosing a foil kite in comparison to a no strut. Now, what I've got here is a setup. This is the Chrono, Ozone's Chrono 7 meter. It's in comparison probably to the 7 or the 9 in power, and this is the UFO 9. So what I want to talk about, the first thing is, a lot of people will say I want a zero strut thing for simplicity, obviously, and for traveling purposes. Well, I weighed both of these kites, and the weight-wise, not a problem. They're about the same weight. So if weight is a matter and you can tell by size-wise, you're pretty much about the same size kite. So it's not the size-wise at all in that comparison. The only downside is you've got to take this if you're going to take a UFO. So if there's a pump issue, that's about the only thing when it comes down to packing of a no strut to a foil kite. Now, to get into the way that these fly and what would I choose. Now, my opinion comes from, I have a no strut and I also have my foil kite, and I will not give either one of them up. The foil kite side I use is a 9 meter ultralight chrono. I ride the 9 meter chrono because of its performance in the light winds. When you start pushing a chrono or a foil type kite, when they pressure up, the performance is unreal. Their upwind ability is way better than a no strut kite. These things will point upwind. They will also have a lot of speed and a lot of jump into those foil kites, which is a huge factor for me when I'm out there riding. In the lightest of winds, I want to build my apparent wind. So if I'm out there sailing, I'm going across the bay, having a great day, believe me, I am not giving up my Chrono 9 meter ultralight. It is a dream machine to me. Now, when it gets down into the freestyle type riding, I want to go out, do all my back rolls, my tacks, my jives, my sitting down and everything else. I have no problem taking out a no strut kite or a single strut kite. They are phenomenal in that side of the riding. But if you take a no strut kite and you try what I'm telling you to try here, load them up, ride along, and you push out on the bar, you will barely see them jump forward. The reason is, once a no strut kite gets pulled beyond its flying point or depowered to a certain point, the sail begins to luff, and as soon as it luffs, you probably won't even notice it. Right at the luff point, when it starts pulling that, what they call it, the lift factor of the forward part of the sail, when it starts to move forward over that luff curve, the kite will not penetrate any further, no matter what you do. So I've been riding along, and you can take that bar and push out, and you'll see the kite will barely move at all. So they don't have this upwind ability that's crazy and everything, especially when you get into the larger sizes. When you get down to the small sizes, your 3s, your 4s, your 5s, and right into your 6 meters, those will they'll penetrate pretty good. But if you put a strut back on them, they will absolutely penetrate more. So is a no strut kite to a foil kite, what is the difference and what would I choose? In the light winds, I would choose a foil kite. But I will tell you, we've had people, once you put a foil kite onto the water, you have a certain amount of time to get those kites off of that water and get them relaunched. I don't care what they say out there. They cannot sit there for too long before they get off the water. You take an inflatable kite, they'll sit there pretty much all day if they haven't lost their air. We've had customers who have come in and they get the kite in the water, experienced riders, this is anybody beginning, and the sun starts to go down, they're out there riding, the kite gets stuck on the water. You cannot swim in with this thing. If you get a kite that's very large and you put it into the water and they start to inflate in the water, which is filling with water, and you can't get it out, believe me, it is an absolute nightmare to swim in with a foil type kite. So he had to basically disconnect his fly lines and let the kite go. There's nothing he could do. He could not pull it, he could not swim, it was getting dark, he had to abandon the kite, which is not a good thing. We don't ever want to do that. So he switched to the no strut inflatables, and the reason is they'll sit on the water all day. If they get tangled and you can't get them off of it, wrap up to the kite and hang on to it. It's basically like a little life raft, and you can swim in with it. So there's always going to be stories between foils and no struts and everything else, but if I was going to fly one of them, it would definitely, in my freestyle side, I would absolutely use a no strut, single strut kite. It's one of my favorites. And my smaller size kites, I use all of them from 6 or 7 meter down. They are inflatables. Are they a no strut? Absolutely. I've got a 5 meter UFO that I really like for its speed, its simplicity, and it's a lot of fun to ride. When it comes to foils, I use them for the light wind performance-wise, so I get more apparent wind and speed and riding with my foil kite. So that is my opinion. I've been flying a while. I put some time in on all of these kites. I tell you, when I do these reviews, I've seen a bunch out there and really no one puts the time on both a lot. I put a lot of time on kites. I really test them and I put them to their mark, and I really try them out in high winds, low winds, their turning performance and everything else. We're really stoked on the UFO. I got my 5 meter I've been spending some time on. The other kite that I fly is a single strut boxer. I love it, but we test them all. I spend a lot of time on them, the way they perform. But other than that, that is what you're gonna get with your no strut kites to your foil kites. It's up to you. Hopefully this will help you out on making a decision and what you might wanna do and picking and choosing a kite. But anyway, that's Jeff Howard here at Kiteboarding.com. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and click that notification bell. It really helps us out on our videos. Anyway, back to you guys.